Many years ago, in a city known as Nnewi, there lived a man named Chinedu. Chinedu was married to a beautiful lady named Ifeoma. They were both very poor. Chinedu was a mechanic and Ifeoma was a tailor, but they were struggling to make ends meet. They could barely afford to feed themselves and their 5 years old son Ikemefuna. It was as though they were under a spell. Nothing they did ever prospered. Chinedu was once a trader and dealer in motor spare parts. And when it looked as if his business was about to take off and prosper, his shop suddenly burned to the ground. And this had happened twice. So Chinedu decided to give up on his dream of becoming a trader, an importer and exporter dealing in motor spare parts, and to learn a skill instead. So he decided to train to become a mechanic. So that way, even if his workshop was to ever get burned to the ground again, the knowledge and skill that he would have acquired would never leave him. But even at that, he was still struggling as a mechanic. His best friend Kelechi, who had served the same master with him and was also settled almost the same time as he was settled, was now very rich and even living in his own house, and even now had boys working for him in his workshop. But Chinedu was still struggling and finding it difficult to feed just himself, his wife, and their 5 years old son. And this bothered him so much. Many nights he would cry himself to sleep. He was ashamed of himself. He wondered what was wrong with him. He knew that he was a very good mechanic and there was no fault in any type of car that he could not fix. Sometimes, even his best friend, Kelechi, who was now very rich and had a big workshop, despite how big his workshop was, would not be able to fix some fault in some cars. And he would send it over to Chinedu and Chinedu would be able to fix it. Chinedu was always very sad. He wondered why he was still very poor, despite how skillful and hardworking he was. One day, Ifeoma was at her shop sewing some customers' clothes, while their son Ikemefuna was playing on the floor as he did not go to school. Because Chinedu and Ifeoma could not afford to send him to a private school, and they did not want to send him to a government school because he was their only child, and were not sure that he would be properly cared for. So instead, Ifeoma took him to her shop, and whenever she was not so busy, she would make out at least 2 or 3 hours of her time to teach her son from the little that she knew. When her husband Chinedu rushed into her shop and said, Ifeoma, oya, close up for the day. We need to go home. Oya, please, pack up. Chinedu said frantically as he picked up his son Ikemefuna while waiting for Ifeoma to lock up her shop. Is everything okay? You're scaring me, oh. What is it, please? Say something. Ifeoma said, looking worried. Everything is fine. Please hurry up, Ifeoma, Chinedu said. And a few minutes later, they arrived at their home, and Chinedu looked sternly at his wife Ifeoma and said, Ifeoma, I am tired of this poverty. Oh. I am really tired. God knows I have tried my best. And I don't know what to do again at this point. I work very hard. I pray. I fast. I'm a good person. Yet nothing seems to be working for me, Chinedu said, looking very sad. It's okay, my husband. I know it's not easy. But please let us continue to wait on God. God's time is the best. And I'm sure He will come through for us very soon, Ifeoma said, trying to comfort her husband. Me, I'm tired of waiting, oh. I'm tired of waiting on God. I have only called you to let you know that first thing tomorrow morning, I am following Kelechi, Kelechi now, my friend, to go and see a Baba that can solve our problems and make us rich. Although Kelechi said I should not tell you, but there's nothing I cannot tell my wife. I cannot hide anything from you. So I just thought to let you know so we could both go together. But if you refuse, I would go on my own, no, Chinedu said. Ifeoma was very shocked. She screamed and said, Chinedu, you want to do money ritual? Ogwego. Hey, I am finished. Yeah, somebody help me. So this is how your friend Kelechi made his wealth. Eh? I am finished. Ifeoma shouted, crying. Oh, shh. Bring down your voice now. Haba. Do you want to wake the whole neighborhood? Do you want them to hear what we are talking about? Please, Ifeoma, are you not tired of this poverty? All this while, I thought Kelechi was just lucky. I did not know that he did money ritual until I went to see him yesterday to beg him to please help my life, Chinedu said. Ah, Chinedu, but you know all these things come at a heavy price. The devil does not give you anything for free. They may ask you to kill a human being. Chinedu, are you hearing what you're saying? Ah, I'm finished. Oh, Ifeoma said, crying. Nobody's asking for human blood. Kelechi is my best friend and I trust him with my life. He told me that the Baba only requested for the blood of one big cow. He did not kill any human being. If you remember that day that Kelechi threw a big party and killed a cow just 3 months after he got married, that I told you that it was a foolish idea as he just spent a lot of money on his wedding. Well, that was the time he used the blood of the cow for the money ritual. And it's been almost 4 years. Have you seen his wife or his mother or his father die? Has he not been having children? He did not use any human being. It was the blood of a cow that Kelechi used. And he even promised me that he would borrow me the money to buy the cow and that I could pay later when we become rich, Chinedu said, trying to convince Ifeoma, his wife. Throughout that night, Ifeoma could not sleep. She thought about all that her husband had said. She was glad that her husband had trusted her enough to tell her, unlike Kelechi, who did not tell his wife. And so she decided that she was going to follow her husband, not just because he trusted her and told her, but also because she would want to be there firsthand just in case the Baba asks for human life, so that her husband will not use her for ritual. So the following morning, Chinedu and Ifeoma followed Kelechi to the Baba's shrine. The Baba did some enchantments and made some incantations and then said, my children, the poverty in your lineage is very strong and the gods have requested the blood of the most precious person in your lives. The Baba said, looking at Chinedu and Ifeoma, ah, but I thought you said that it does not require the blood of human, Kelechi? Chinedu said, looking very afraid. If I told you the whole truth, you would not have agreed to follow me, Kelechi said, stuttering. Ah, Kelechi, you have finished me. But Baba, the person that I love the most, that is most precious to me, is my wife. And I'm the one she loves the most as well in the whole world. Chinedu turned to his wife, who was already in tears. Ah, Baba, we are both here, so who will not be used? Ah, Baba, please, there needs to be another way, Chinedu said sadly. My child, I said the person you both love the most, and it's neither of you. You both love your son the most, and the gods have requested for his blood, the Baba said. My son, K, God forbid, Ifeoma interjected, and with that, she immediately picked up her bags and ran away from the shrine, screaming and crying, while Chinedu ran after her. Ifeoma, wait, Ifeoma, please wait. But Ifeoma did not heed to his call. She continued running and running, heading straight for her home. Kelechi, on the other hand, apologized to the Baba and reassured him that they will be back shortly. Then he followed quickly after his friends. Ifeoma, upon getting to her house, hugged her son, crying and weeping bitterly. And the days that followed, she made sure that Ikemefuna was never out of her sight. She also refused to speak to her husband Chinedu. She was so upset with him. However, after a week, Chinedu called her and said, Ifeoma, Would you continue to keep malice with me? Let us talk. See, we can always have more children. Giving Ikemefuna in exchange for wealth is a sacrifice we would be making for ourselves and our unborn children. Besides, Ikemefuna may still reincarnate though. That way, we would not even have lost him entirely. Chinedu said, pleading with his wife. Ah, Chinedu, you knew how long we waited before we had Ikemefuna. And you know what the doctor said, that I would never be able to have more children. Yet, you want me to sacrifice the only one that I have. Also, how will you be able to sleep at night knowing that you killed your own child with your own hands, Chinedu? You are wicked though, Ifeoma said, crying. Ah no, Ifeoma, if we do this, you know that we would be able to afford the best medical care. And I assure you that we would have as many children as we want. Also, we will not be killing anyone with our hands. We will only be killing a cow. We will only take our son's picture and a cow to the Baba. And after he does some incantations, we will use the cow and throw a party. And in the night, our son will sleep off and will not wake up the following morning. It will be a painless death and no one will find out. Please, Ifeoma, please. Kelechi told me that he used his twin sister and that was how she died. It was painless and raised no suspicion. Ifeoma biko no, Chinedu said, begging. Ifeoma could not believe her ears. She was very angry with Chinedu for insisting that they should use their son for money ritual, their only son, Ikemefuna. However, 2 weeks later, Ifeoma had walked in on her husband attempting to drink a poisonous substance just to take his life. What are you trying to do? Ifeoma asked as she dragged the cup away from his mouth. Since you do not want to agree for us to use our son, let me kill myself rather than continue to wallow in poverty, Chinedu said, faking tears. And he even began to keep to himself and began to emotionally blackmail Ifeoma. Each time she passed his side, he would start singing a pathetic and sorrowful song. My life is useless, oh, what will I do? What will I do? Poverty kill me here. Poverty come and kill me, oh. And Chinedu continued like this, emotionally blackmailing Ifeoma. After a few days, Ifeoma could not take it anymore. So she gave in to her husband's emotional blackmail and informed Chinedu that she was ready to let them sacrifice their son because she loved him so much and could not afford to lose him. Chinedu was so happy. He thanked Ifeoma profusely and promised her that she was never going to regret it. So in a few days, Chinedu and Ifeoma went back to the Baba with the cow and with a picture of their only son, Ikemefuna. The Baba made all the incantations on the cow and they went back home and threw a big party. People came around drinking and eating, although they did not understand why or what they were celebrating. Chinedu was very happy. As to him, that party marked the end of his suffering and poverty. Ifeoma, on the other hand, faked a smile all through. She was dying inside. But after everyone had gone home, she just stayed and wept and wept. Even her husband could not console her. Ifeoma stayed awake all through the night, waiting to receive a call from her mother that her son Ikemefuna was dead. As prior to that day, in order not to raise suspicion, her husband Chinedu had dropped off their son Ikemefuna at their mother's house. But after a few hours of fighting sleep, Ifeoma later dozed off. Few hours later, she woke up to the screams and wailing of her husband. Ewo, Ikemefuna, the strength of my youth, why have you left us so early? Chinedu said, shedding crocodile tears. He was also surrounded by his neighbors who tried comforting him. Ifeoma, on the other hand, wept uncontrollably. It was as though a part of her had died. The following weeks, after the death of Ikemefuna, Ifeoma and Chinedu were not in speaking terms. They mourned separately and individually. However, a few months after the death of their son, the tension between Chinedu and Ifeoma had eased greatly. Chinedu began to prosper very quickly. In a few months, he had moved from a tattered house into their own beautiful mansion in a more serene neighborhood. Chinedu even bought 2 brand new cars for himself and his wife. He also opened a very big workshop and had several boys working for him. He was always busy. Everyone wanted him to repair their faulty cars in his workshop. Chinedu was so happy. He was finally living the life of affluence that he had always dreamt of and desired. He had so much money now that he did not even know what to do with it. His wife, Ifeoma, on the other hand, was living a luxurious life, a soft life, a baby girl's life. She was looking very good. She splurged millions of naira in shopping for clothes, shoes, wigs, and everything in between. Whatever she wanted, she got. She even stopped working and closed down her shop completely. She just stayed at home all day, looking beautiful and admiring herself. She had several maids that cooked and cleaned. She felt that she had paid the ultimate price of sacrificing her child, so she needed to sit down and enjoy the wealth that her child brought. Chinedu and Ifeoma were so happy. They started associating with the creme de la creme of the society. They loved their new life. And things continued like this for 2 years. However, Chinedu and Ifeoma became sad. They began to crave and long for the cry of a baby in their home. Their home was too quiet. It was only filled with maids and drivers, so this marked the beginning of Ifeoma's visits to several hospitals, all in search of a child of her own. She went to the very best hospitals because they could afford it, yet nothing seemed to be working. All the doctors still gave her the same verdict, that she would not be able to get pregnant. Ifeoma tried multiple IVFs, but it failed. Ifeoma was getting very frustrated. Chinedu too. They began to fight and quarrel all the time. Their home was no longer filled with love and laughter. After a few months, Ifeoma noticed that her husband had begun to change drastically. He now kept late nights and no longer ate at home. He was also now particular about how he dressed and smelled. He barely spoke to her. Meanwhile, Chinedu had started seeing one small beautiful girl named Adora. She was just 19 years old but had wrapped Chinedu around her arms and her waist. Chinedu had met Adora at the club one day and they had both kicked it off instantly. He always complained about his wife to Adora, about how she was unable to give him just one child. And Adora would listen to him and comfort him. And before Chinedu knew what was happening, he had fallen head over heels in love with Adora. Chinedu and Adora began to date and meet themselves discreetly in hotels. So one day, Chinedu had come to visit Adora as usual when Adora broke the good news to him and said, "Babe, I have something to tell you." Adora said, sounding very excited, "What is it? What is it? Please tell me." Chinedu replied, looking anxious, "Well, I am pregnant." Adora shouted excitedly. Chinedu could not believe his ears. He immediately hugged her and carried her up, thanking her, saying, thank you very much. So I'm going to be a father again. Thank you, Adora," Chinedu said excitedly. And in the weeks that followed, Chinedu began to pay more attention and shower more love on Adora. He barely went home. Meanwhile, his wife Ifeoma would be at home crying and weeping. She even began to regret why she agreed to use her son for money ritual. She was always sad. Few months later, Ifeoma was at home, just sitting and relaxed in her home, when suddenly her husband, who had been away for over 3 weeks, walked in with a heavily pregnant Adora into her home with their luggages. Adora did not even wait to be introduced. She just went to the chair and sat down majestically. Ifeoma looked shocked at the pregnant lady who had made herself very comfortable in her own home, then turned to look at her husband. She was very shocked and confused and said, "Chinedu, what is the meaning of this nonsense?" Ifeoma asked, fuming. "Well, Ifeoma, this is my new wife, Adora, and the mother of my unborn children. As you can see, she's expecting a baby, something you clearly cannot do. After all my money that I have wasted on you, from one treatment to the other," Chinedu said. "Did you just say your money? Have you forgotten so soon what I had to sacrifice to give us this money, Chinedu? So you have suddenly developed amnesia, Abi? You are wicked. Men are indeed scum," Ifeoma said, crying. However, things got worse for Ifeoma in her home. And despite how young Adora was, she took control and full charge of the home. Adora instructed the maids that nobody should obey whatever Ifeoma told them unless she, Adora, approved it. If not, she was going to sack them. Adora locked the kitchen so Ifeoma would not have access to it. Ifeoma was getting frustrated. And as if that was not enough, Chinedu no longer gave her money. He would tell her to ask Adora, his new wife. Ifeoma was always hungry. She even began to sell all the luxurious items that she had acquired over the years, just so she could, eat some food. Chinedu had even kicked her out of their matrimonial room so that Adora, his new pregnant wife, could move into their matrimonial room. And this was the last straw that broke the camel's back for Ifeoma. One day she walked up to Chinedu and said, "Chinedu, how could you do this to me? You made me agree to use our only child for money rituals. And you knew before then that I could no longer have children because of the complications I suffered while birthing Ikemefuna. Yet you did not care. Now, not only have you gotten another woman pregnant, but now you no longer allow me access to our money. The money we got from using my son's life for money ritual. Chinedu, you are wicked. But you will not go scot-free. That I can promise you. I will deal with you," Ifeoma said, crying. Let me hear what. Because you cannot do more than a dead rat. And besides, you keep on saying, my son, my son. Was Ikemefuna also not my son? Did I force you? Did we not both agree? Besides, did I tell you to close down your shop? If it was still open, the way I'm prospering in my mechanic business is the way you would have been prospering in your fashion designing business. So the money coming in from the mechanic business is mine, not yours. And I will do with it whatever I like. I would use it to take care of the woman who can bear me children and keep my name alive," Chinedu shouted angrily as he walked out. Ifeoma stayed awake many nights, crying and thinking about all that her husband Chinedu had said. She thought of a way to make him pay back. Then one day, she came up with a perfect plan. So a few weeks later, Ifeoma visited the Baba that had given them wealth in exchange for their son's life in his shrine and said, "Baba, my husband has hijacked our wealth. He has taken all the money and wealth that the gods gave us after we gave our son in exchange. Baba, I am suffering. He has taken another wife who is heavily pregnant for him. Baba, I'm willing to pay any price. I want my own money. I'm willing to pay any price, Ifeoma said, crying. Ah, my daughter, this is deep. You know that it would cost you the person you love the most. Are you sure you are willing to make that sacrifice again? The Baba replied, looking concerned. Baba, I am ready. If I can give my son, I am sure I can give the next person I love the most. Please tell me, Baba, who is the God requesting? Ifeoma said, looking determined. The Baba went ahead and did some incantations and then said, the gods have asked for the life of your husband. Ifeoma was so happy. Baba, I am willing to do as you said. In short, I will do as you have requested. And so, the Baba told her to get a cow and her husband's picture, after which she would kill it and throw a party. And that night, that Chinedu, her husband, would sleep and never wake up, just the same way they had killed their son, Ikemefuna, for money. And Ifeoma thanked the Baba profusely and left the shrine. She was so happy. She wanted her husband to pay for maltreating her, and this was a perfect payback, as not only would he die, but she would also become rich by virtue of his death. She thought of a way to do it without raising her husband's suspicion. So she sold some of her wigs and clothes to her friends, and with the money she raised, she used it to go buy a cow and other things to prepare for the party. And she took the cow with a picture of her husband to the Baba. And after the Baba had done some incantations, she took the cow somewhere else and waited for her husband to go out with his new wife, Adora. And immediately they left the house, she brought the cow back home and ordered boys to kill it. And people started cooking and preparing for a party. The party began in full force in less than 2 hours. Ifeoma was so happy that she had killed the cow, because if her husband had seen the cow, he would have had an idea of what was happening or what she was planning to do, and would have stopped her from killing the cow. A few hours later, Chinedu was driving back home and was in his neighborhood when he started hearing loud noise and music. He was shocked and saw people trooping in and out of his home with party packs and food. He wondered who was throwing a party. He immediately parked his car and ran inside, shouting, "What is going on here?" He met his wife Ifeoma standing and attending to people, and took her to one side and said, "Ifeoma, what is this? What is happening?" Chinedu asked angrily, "Well, you said our money was yours, and that I cannot do more than a dead rat. Well, newsflash. I went back to the Baba so I could make my own money. And guess who the gods requested for this time? The person I love the most. And guess who that is?" Ifeoma said sneeringly. "It's a lie. It's a lie. You're lying to me, Ifeoma. You use me for money ritual? You can't do that to me now. Ifeoma, no," Chinedu said, looking afraid. "If you don't believe me, you can go to the backyard and check or ask the women cooking. They will confirm that we just killed a cow for this party," Ifeoma said proudly. So Chinedu ran to the backyard to check if what Ifeoma said was actually true. Immediately he left, Ifeoma quickly took to her heels. She ran away from their home because she knew if Chinedu returned, after seeing that she truly killed a cow, she knew that he would definitely kill her. By the time Chinedu got to the backyard and confirmed from the women cooking that they really killed a cow, he began to cry and wail. He started shouting, "Ifeoma, Ifeoma, I will kill you today." He ran outside, but Ifeoma was nowhere to be found. She had already run away. Immediately, Chinedu broke down and started crying. "I am finished. I am dead. Ifeoma has finished me." His pregnant wife, Adora, had come out of the car. She was confused. She kept on asking, "What is the problem? What happened? Talk to me. Say something." She was so confused, but Chinedu could not reply her. After crying and weeping for a while, He immediately stood up and headed to his friend Kelechi's house. He narrated all that had happened, and his friend advised that they both head to the shrine to see the Baba immediately. So they both headed to the Baba's shrine. Chinedu narrated everything to the Baba and begged the Baba to please reverse what the wife had done, that he did not want to die. The Baba told him that there was nothing that could be done because the cow was already dead. That if he had come before the cow was killed, something could have been done. But as it stands, it was too late. My son, you're already a walking corpse. I cannot undo what has been done. You should have treated your wife better, the Baba said. Upon hearing all that the Baba had said, Chinedu wept and wept. He went back home weeping. Adora was so afraid. She kept on asking him what the matter was, but he would not say. Ifeoma, on the other hand, stayed at her friend's house that night. Later that night, Chinedu thought about his life. He wished he had never done money ritual. He wished he had never killed his son, or gotten another woman pregnant, or even maltreated his wife, who had stayed with him through thick and thin. Chinedu tried to stay awake, thinking he could fight off sleep so he would not die. But he could not. He later slept off and never woke up again. The following day, Ifeoma came back home. She heard crying and wailing coming out from the house. She saw the lifeless body of her husband on the bed, and Adora, his pregnant wife, crying beside him. The maids, the servants, everyone was crying. She pursued Adora out of the house and buried Chinedu a few days later, and took back control of her home and all her husband's business. She also went ahead and opened a very big tailoring shop. She once again began to enjoy her life and the wealth she had gotten. Ifeoma was so happy. She felt like she had won at last and had paid her husband back in his own coin. Hi besties! It's your girl Omalicha again. Thank you so much for watching my story to the end. Please let me know, do you think that Ifeoma went too far in using her husband for money ritual? Please share your thoughts with me in the comment section, and please support my channel by subscribing, liking, and sharing with your loved ones. Now till I come your way again with more interesting stories. Bye!